What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Belinda Carlisle, and we're ready to move on to the next album, which is Heaven on Earth, 1987. Thank you again to Phil for providing this catalog after I had finished the Go-Go's album that I had in my vinyl collection. And fair to say, the opening track, Heaven is a Place on Earth, I have actually heard before. I haven't heard it extensively, but not just back when I was a single-digit kid in the 80s, but even in more recent years, I've heard this on the radio. At my work, they play this like 90s till now station, but sometimes on days where I get to choose the radio station, I've chosen a couple different ones. Sometimes I pick a Motown station, sometimes I pick what is called like Cyndi Lauper radio, which plays a lot of 80s music in particular, and even more specifically like 80s music with like female singers or, female solo artists. And I've heard this one play before, so I have a sense of what it sounds like. In the moment, I can't really recall most of the lines beyond the chorus, which I can very much hear the melody of in advance. But yes, the concept, the idea that heaven isn't some esoteric, abstract, perhaps metaphysical place where you go only when you die, but heaven, this utopian, wonderful place, is something that is actually here on Earth. And whether that's a geographical place, whether it's an interpersonal place, or whether it's a psycho-emotional place that you can traverse to without any external factors, it's suggesting that there is some heaven to be enjoyed in the here and now, whatever metaphysical or spiritual beliefs you may have, and recognizing that would therefore be the first step in enjoying it and embracing it. So given that a lot of 80s songs, and perhaps songs in general, are about interpersonal relationships, I would expect maybe it relating specifically, if I can get my mouth to work, to a potential romance or a potential emotional connection with another person. But yes, as I said, I've heard this before at least a few times, but in the moment I can't really think of any of the lines from the verses, so we'll have to see what I can catch on not a first listen, but still a pretty early listen in the larger discussion of my experience with tunes from the 80s. So here we go. This is Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth, the first track on her 1987 album, Heaven on Earth.
Ooh, baby, do you know that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven our place on earth.
We'll make.
Ooh, heaven is a place on
Like the bass.
When the night falls down, I wait for you as you come around, and the
I recalled it, and just a thought that occurred to me in the latter stages that not fully instrumental. I think there was still some like vocals going on, but the sonic atmosphere, especially the latter half of the tune in that interlude, really had this warm, rich, enveloping feel to it. So the idea of like heaven on earth felt like sonically represented well in the tune overall, but especially in that interlude. And yes, so it sounds like it's multifaceted, but all sort of driving at the same concept that if they are together and if, that can be like him pulling her close when they're under the stars and they make love, or, holding on to her hand, or wishing her well when she has to go out, and just making these connections and embracing their love together and their life together, that they're just at the beginning of understanding what it can be, meaning heaven on earth. So yeah, it sounds very positive, but not just physically, not just emotionally, not just temporally or interpersonally, just the entire experience of their life in the context of them together can be heaven on earth. And again, they're just on the cusp of what that is. So yeah, it feels incredibly positive, and I do enjoy some of the imagery, especially, the like pulling her close, and then, as we spin with the stars above, it's visual, but also, intimate and physical and kinetic. So it feels like there's the expression of this sentiment in multiple angles and in multiple dimensions. And I enjoy, especially when she gets a bit more forceful with her delivery. There was like a line that was sort of half delivered in that way, and then the next one she would do with even more sort of like guttural power and delivery. So that's maybe the most intense or like passionately deep I've heard her deliver some of her vocals so far. And yeah, ultimately, there was some talk at the end of the last album, like the ballad that she did, whether, it sort of hit in the right way. And even though I enjoyed it, I do get the idea that perhaps her voice and her manner of singing lends itself better to some types of songs than others. I feel like she's very much in a good wheelhouse here. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that maybe this is one of her calling cards, certainly one that on that radio station was played relative to some others that I've gone through on the previous album that I hadn't heard before. So yeah, as I said, even better than I remembered. And now I'm remembering that another song of hers that I know, Circle in the Sand, it's literally the next tune on the album. Well, there you go. That is another one I've heard from her before, and I very much enjoy. And that one has like a bit of a more mysterious, maybe not melancholic, but definitely not quite as energetic and exuberant as this one. So very much looking to that, or very much looking forward to that. Thank you again to Phil. Looking forward to this album in general, and just, hearing how different from or similar to it is the self-titled album. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.